Welcome back to Factorio MSX Gigabase. Okay, I suppose the question on everyone's lips is, have we achieved our 6,000 science per minute? And the answer is on a consumption basis for sure. We're fairly regularly doing 6,000, 5,900, 6,000 on a consumption basis. But I won't really want to proclaim we're doing 6,000 until all of the sciences are producing at 6,000. Because what actually happens is that while this was bouncing around a bit, some of the sciences buffered up. And so we're still kind of running on buffer to some degree, especially yellow. Hasn't had to be at 6,000 for quite a while. So what I really need is both the production side and the consumption side running at 6,000 before I'll kind of consider that we're there. Now, the open requests is probably shorter than, well, it jumps up and down a little bit. It doesn't auto refresh, that's why I'm clicking on it. And that's deliberate because otherwise it's just using resources to do that, and I don't really want it to. So is there really no oil down there? Oh, there is oil. Should have driven out by itself. Oh well, let's kind of force it. Anyway, I think there might be a minor bug that I have to deal with in my mod, but that's beside the point. What I am noticing is that there is never iron here. In spite of everything we've done, there's never iron here, and there's basically never iron here either. So all of our additional sources of iron are being utilized, and basically instantly. There was no steel that's actually lined up here, but that doesn't seem to matter. Yeah, what I'm trying to say is we need to push these on. There's 275, and I'm just going to go on with 276 because I need science to keep going. I mean, we've got, I suppose we could look at this one, but it's 4,000, sorry, 4 million science, and even at 6,000 a minute, that's a lot of minutes. 4,096. 4,090 or 4,096,000 divided by 6,000. Even if we're running at 6060, that would still be 682 minutes, or 11, almost 11 and a half hours. And since we're not, it's a lot worse. So the upshot of that is I need this iron to operate more efficiently. And probably the best way to do that is to implement the pre-stackers, because we're not getting 140,000 out of this iron. In fact, what are we actually doing in iron? 379,000, and some of that's coming from other sources. Each of these should be able to do 140,000. Because they're not, we obviously can do more from them. So, for example, I mean, this one here, this one and this one are both sitting without an iron ore at the moment, so that's slowing down their efficiency. You can see there's nothing actually going on down here. This regularly doesn't have any iron ore in spite of this ability to fill in here, so that's why we need this whole mechanism. So, how am I going to do this? I think what I'm going to need to do is basically come out here and snip both of these lines, let this lot clear, and then rip it all up. So it's going to make quite the mess as far as our stats go. Losing the major iron, or our original iron, is certainly going to prove quite costly. Notice this has already burnt that third row, the copper, so I mean, I think we easily have enough room to implement this with the amount of room we've got now, so I probably don't need to worry about that so much anymore. But we're not dealing with copper just now, we are dealing with these guys up here. So let me just come up here and effectively turn off this whole stack. As that seems to be the only way I'm going to make this work. So I'll turn it off about here, I think. Right. What that will do is stop any more ore from beyond that point getting through. What's here will go through and clear, and that will be it. Now on the other side, I did a test on the power to see if our solar power would make it through the night with all the additions we've done, and it is doing that. So we are safe at the moment to so we're using about 40 gigawatts of our 63, just under, with everything kind of running, although as you can see some of this iron is not running, and we need all of it to run. So I'm going to need to extend this side as well. I'm not going to need this stuff. If I was to put this extra length here, we basically need to move everything over, probably, well, it's going to be from the end of that, needs to go over. So basically if we took out 2 widths of solar, probably from down here, 1, 2, up to there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Okay, that's exactly a gigawatt, pretty much. Is that right? 20 of these? Or is it 20 lots of 4? Might be 20 lots of 4 is a gigawatt. So that's only a quarter of a gigawatt, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. If it is, we will simply transfer it to somewhere else. Actually, before we do this, I will take my bots out, because I don't actually want a collection of solar panels. So we want to get to there. I might actually have to do this on zoom mode or map mode. So basically it's up to where? Up to there. And there should be some construction bots in this network that will take care of that for me. Although they might end up ripping out the roboports in a bad order and not succeed in finishing the job. But I will let them take care of that, and we'll work on the other side. Let's quickly dash across here. Now, I'm thinking I'll probably need some more trains for iron once we have it maximized as well. We can certainly do that. Let me have a sip of my drink. So, the other thing I'm slightly aware of is whether or not this will cause an issue. Hopefully not. What we should do is basically... Oh, the other thing I didn't mention actually, but I will quickly show you while I think about it, based on that blueprint. I decided to add in an extra 2 here, so we overbuild for the capacity of these, because I was noticing that this particular carriage here, for some reason, is always below, and in fact it doesn't have any, in spite of our changes here, it doesn't have any stone bricks at this second. Must be imminent. This carriage here seems to be very heavily... Which one is it? This one here? No. One of these carriages seems to be a little bit challenged for filling. Not that I can find it at the moment. Alright, well, why don't I just tell you to go? Even though you're slightly light in terms of being full. So, yeah, this uneven loading is making it so that these are taking longer here than they need to. The stone brick is perhaps still not making it quite fast enough. Okay. So there's some red circuit trains on the way. Back and forth fast enough. Although, as long as purple is doing 6,000, which it is, whatever it's doing is probably fine, so I'll leave that alone. But yeah, I added in those extra 2 just to make sure that the processing would work more effectively. Anyway, what I want, I'm not going to need that, is a copy of our pre-stackers from up here. I probably don't want this bit again. I'm pretty sure I... oh, that's just that bit. I actually need all of it this time. Is that the whole thing? That might be the whole thing that's been reflected. Let's reflect that back. And yeah, that might actually be what I want without the fueling part. So if I came out here, let's put it down there. So that's the one. Alright. We'll run into about halfway up. This whole thing might have to come down a little bit to join in. But it looks like it's actually cleared, has it? Yes, I do believe every one of the ore trains has moved out at this point. Okay. Let's use our old friend, the InviniZoom. Right, that seems to be the entire thing. This is our friend. So, if we were inserting this, it would be about there, and yes, indeed, the 4-lane is lower in this version, which is okay. That doesn't really matter. We can deal with that. But there's certainly space. Yeah, okay. So if I wipe out all of this up to here, we ideally want to move that train out of the way, so we'll see what we can do and clear out all of this part. What can we do, actually? Some of these are going to head up there, so I just need to move this over a little bit. Well, I might Might just manually force this one over a bit, so that we're going to have space. Oh, let's get out of InfiniZoom for now. Let me put a pause in here because we're probably getting through time a little bit quickly, and rejoin in a moment. Okay, so I have wiped out all of this part of the stacker. We obviously have a bit of a tree issue just over here, so let's see if our nukes... that was a very effective nuke, I think. Now, yes, I want to get up to about the middle of the stack, which is somewhere around about here. What's this? More trees? I've taken out my extra legs so that I had more charging as well. Let's just stick with what we've got there. Grab the pattern and get back into our InfiniZoom. Okay, I'd like to actually be slightly further out than that. So, basically, that appears to be what we want. And yes, we have that issue over there. So what I want to do is basically remove the infrastructure for the refueling, because I don't want to create, although here's the thing, I probably do want to create that at some point in the not too distant future, but I guess that future isn't right now. So let's zoom back out. So of course I had some smarts in terms of where the bots, or when the bots were going to line up, installed here. Part of my removal has actually removed that as well. Oh, we don't need this guy here. That's clearly out of the in the way. Oh, excuse me, and unnecessary. Oh, that's right, there's another line down here as well. So if this gets back to green, I guess I'll probably put my legs back on so that we can get the benefit of our full speed. And we'll probably need these radars as well. Well, certainly they don't really cause any... There's no great issue why we wouldn't have them. That's all of that. Oh, here is an extra segment there that we don't need. Probably exists on the original as well. Okay, so there is some excess tree here. Pretty sure I have a rubbish fairly handy, so we can get rid of all of that. And yes, it doesn't look like we are filling up on power, so we've probably made the right choice in terms of the build setup that we have. does look like it's working smoothly for our new steel stack, so on the basis of that I'm fairly comfortable with using it here. I don't need this to be a collection of wood. The wood supply can be dumped down here. So we are quite a few levels, or meters I suppose, or squares of territory south with our four-way than we were previously, and that's going to cause us to need to do a little bit of reorganization. Will probably be a good thing ultimately. The bots that are associated with this whole build are dealing with this for me, so that is quite good. We'll probably leave them to complete it for us. So you can see where the original track was, and where the new track is here is just a little bit below that. So unfortunately we're going to have to move the whole thing. I'm not just going to do a zigzag. A hole in our track for some reason. And a very large number of bots that are out of power, even with the 4 fusion reactors. And another hole here for some reason. Right. So, we need to fill in that bit up there. And for sure get rid of all of this bit. Okay, that's connected in the dots there. Now I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do this, but I guess basically we'll just run this over here, move this down, move this down, move that down, get rid of that stop. Not even sure why I have that stop. And we'll sort out something for the trains in due course. How am I doing for time? Probably not particularly well. Let's see if I can find the 4-way. There it is. What's that? 276. Well, I guess I really want to get the iron back up and running before I create myself a massive shortage. So maybe we're going to have to do that. This is something of a mess here, and we're probably running out of time. I'm going to have to move these trains all backwards and forwards until I have space for what I need. I really need a 4 with an up and a down and an around and all sorts of things. So I guess what I'll do is I will I'll fix this bit up off camera. We'll see then if we're maybe ready for this, and I might, even though it's sort of destroying my experiment a little bit, I will leave the science off for a little bit until we have the iron up and running again, at least. So thanks for joining me for this, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye for now.